Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the mule. The humble mule, a creature born of a union between a male donkey and a female horse, is a testament to the incredible diversity of life and the possibilities of crossbreeding. This hybrid offspring has been an invaluable asset to humanity for centuries, embodying a perfect balance of strength, speed, endurance, and sure-footedness. Mules are remarkable creatures that beautifully combine the best characteristics of their parent species. However, the mule's hybrid nature comes with a biological cost. Typically, mules are sterile, a consequence that's commonly observed in hybrid species. This sterility stems from the mismatch in the number of chromosomes of their parent species, which prevents successful reproduction. Despite this genetic setback, mules have carved a very unique niche in human societies. Their remarkable abilities have made them indispensable in various sectors, including agriculture, transportation, and even warfare. The humble mule's contribution to human civilization is a testament to its resilience and adaptability, qualities that make this hybrid creature a fascinating subject of study. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Iron Age pig. Now, brace yourself for an animal so wild, it might as well have time traveled straight from the Iron Age to your screen. We're talking about the Iron Age pig, a real porky paradox born from a cross between your friendly neighborhood domestic pig and the not-so-friendly wild boar. You'd think, being half domestic, these little critters would be up for a snuggle, right? Well, wrong. Despite packing some serious resilience in their porcine bodies, these hogs are about as sociable as a grizzly with a toothache. Their aggression levels are dialed up to 11, making them about as farm-friendly as a pack of velociraptors. So, what's the moral of this little piggy tale? Well, it turns out playing Mother Nature isn't as easy as it sounds. The Iron Age pig experiment ended up being less eureka and more uh-oh. A big snorting reminder that when it comes to tampering with the blueprints of life, maybe we should leave it to the pros. In short, these bristly hybrids stand as living, grunting proof that not every trip down memory lane is a stroll in the park. In our number 8 spot today, we have the hinny. Picture this: the sprinting stamina of a racehorse and the stubborn grit of a donkey, all rolled into one. Welcome to the fascinating, if a bit troublesome, life of a hinny. This peculiar beast is what you get when you mix a male horse's speed and a female donkey's tenacity. Despite the fact that they could probably outlast a marathon runner and have lifespans that would make a tortoise nod in approval, hinnies don't exactly have it easy. For starters, they usually can't have little hinnies of their own. Yeah, nature hit them with a sterile tag just like the mules. And then there's the elephant in the room. Or should we say the horse and donkey in the room. They've got a mum who's petite and a dad who's, well, horseier. The mismatch is like trying to blend a sports car with a minivan. The result is awkward. In the end, the life of a hinny is a cautionary tale straight from nature's own genetic soap opera. A clear memo that when it comes to stirring up the gene pool, sometimes you might end up with a cocktail that's a little bit more bitter than sweet. In our number 7 spot today, we have the Savannah cat. A product of love, or science. Between a domestic cat and a serval, this feline is a strange cocktail of domestic cuddles and wild prowling. These guys don't do things by halves. They are the true embodiment of go big or go home. And by big, I mean double the size of your regular tabby, akin to swapping your cuddly kitten for a mini panther. And these bigger bodies house some pretty wild tendencies, a bit like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but in feline form. However, this mix of house pet and wild cat isn't just a spectacle, it's a little bit of a ticking time bomb. Let's face it, nobody wants their morning coffee interrupted by their pet tiger, I mean cat, chasing local wildlife or causing a ruckus. It's this fine line between awe-inspiring and eyebrow-raising that makes the Savannah cat an ethical puzzle in the world of crossbreeding. In our number 6 spot today, we have the mule bird. The mule bird is a one-of-a-kind melody maker born from the union of a canary and a goldfinch. A musical marvel, you might say. But hold on to your feathers, because this birdie's tale is as unsettling as it is intriguing. You see, the mule bird is not just another chirper in the aviary, it's an aria virtuoso, belting out tunes that would make even Pavarotti's heart flutter. But As they say, every rose has its thorns, and our songbird friend here comes with its own bittersweet symphony. For all their musical prowess, mulebirds are the tragic heroes of the bird world. Despite their captivating chorus, they've been dealt a cruel hand by nature, or should we say, by us. They're sterile, forever singing solos without the chance to create a choir of their own. And this is where we, the audience, have to take a bow. We bred these birds for our amusement, crafting a creature that could never craft a lineage of its own. A poignant reminder of the Pandora's box that is crossbreeding, where human curiosity can sometimes strike a discordant note. In our number 5 spot today, we have the lepon, whatever you prefer. It's a magnificent creature that'll leave you both fascinated and slightly disconcerted. A head like a regal lion, complete with a majestic mane paired with a sleek and agile leopard body. It's a blend of two of nature's most iconic feline species, resulting in a mesmerizing and puzzling spectacle. The lepon's rarity is truly a sight to behold. You won't find these hybrids roaming the wild. They are a product of human intervention, born in captivity, where biology took a turn down a very peculiar path. It's a reminder of the lengths we humans sometimes go to bend nature to our will. Apparently we couldn't resist the temptation to create such a majestic mashup, but let's not forget the questions this creature raises. Does the lepon represent a triumph in human ingenuity or a meddling with Mother Nature's design? Should we be playing Dr. Frankenstein with the building blocks of life? These are philosophical ponderings that tickle the brain as we admire these hybrids. In our number 4 spot today, we have the narluga, mostly on this list just because I wanted to say the word narluga. Prepare to have your senses confounded as we delve into the depths of this peculiar crossbreed, born from the unlikely fusion of a narwhal and a beluga whale. Through the marvels of scientific scrutiny, DNA analysis of these very peculiar looking whale skulls has confirmed the existence of the narluga. But let me tell you, this hybrid is not your ordinary seaside mashup. It's a creature that walks the line between awe and unease. Imagine a majestic narwhal, its sleek body elegantly adorned with a spiraling tusk, entwined with the playful charm of a beluga whale. It's a fantastical creation that seems to defy nature's conventional boundaries, leaving us both mesmerized and slightly unnerved. As we gaze upon this remarkable example of crossbreeding in wild cetaceans, we can't help but wonder, what other surprises does nature hold? Are there more uncanny blends lurking beneath the surface? In our number 3 spot today, we have a growler bear. This enigmatic creature, born from the extraordinary union of polar bears and grizzly bears, is a captivating blend of nature's mightiest beasts. As climate change wreaks havoc on our planet, the boundaries of bear territories are being reshaped. Polar bears, driven by warming temperatures, venture further south, while grizzlies, seeking cooler climates, migrate north. And lo and behold, in the midst of this changing landscape, the territories of these noble creatures begin to overlap, leading to the emergence of rare hybrids, the growler bears. With their unique combination of traits, the growler bears possess the adaptability of both the open tundra and the dense forests. They're like nature's bold experiment in climate change adaptation, straddling the line between two contrasting habitats. It's a very fascinating glimpse into the way that these magnificent creatures navigate the shifting world that they inhabit, but let's not forget the disconcerting undertone. The very existence of the growler bear highlights the plight of these majestic species, forced to intermingle due to the encroaching impacts of climate change. In our number 2 spot today, we have the cama. Through the power of artificial insemination, the cama came into existence, a blend of the camel's imposing size and strength with the llama's more manageable temperament. It's a very bizarre concoction that raises both eyebrows and curiosity. Just imagine a creature roaming the earth with the body of a camel and the endearing charm of a llama. A sight to behold indeed, yet in the grand tapestry of hybrid creations, the cama remains a very uncommon marvel. Only a few of these extraordinary beings grace our world, making them a very elusive sight, even among the vast array of crossbreeds. Their rarity adds an air of mystique to their existence, leaving us with a sense of wonder and yet a hint of unease. While the intention behind the cama's creation was to combine desirable traits, we can't help but question the boundaries we push in the name of scientific exploration. What does it mean to meddle with nature's design, reshaping creatures for our own purposes? The cama serves as a reminder that with great power comes great responsibility. In our number 1 spot today, we have the jag lion. a magnificent blend of a male jaguar and a female lion, boasting a combination of very powerful physical traits and stunning markings. But as we marvel at this majestic creature, let us not forget the deeper ethical complexities that lurk beneath its mesmerizing surface. The jaglion is a rare gem, a product of human intervention in the delicate world of crossbreeding large cat species. Its existence serves as a stark reminder of the ethical quandaries that arise when we meddle with the natural order of things. While the jaglion captivates us with its undeniable beauty, it also forces us to question the impact of our actions on the creatures that roam this earth. Sure, the jaglion is truly a sight to behold, with its fierce jaguar traits melded seamlessly with the regal presence of the lion, but we must pause and reflect upon the intricate web of consequences that follow such hybrid creations. Is it right for us to manipulate nature's course, blurring the lines between species and tampering with the delicate balance of ecosystems? Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have bees. A lot of us know bees as pretty harmless and are kind of cute little pollinators, unless of course you're allergic or terrified. But truthfully, bees normally do a lot more good than harm. That was, of course, until an experiment in the 1970s went awry and caused a new crossbred bee. This experiment was to take a regular honeybee and breed it with a bee that is found in Africa that produces a lot more honey, and of course the goal was to produce a manageable bee that would also be able to provide more honey than a regular honeybee. Well, the bees that came out were a lot less manageable, and they didn't even make more honey. After this experiment ended, however, the bees got out into the environment, and the 80s saw the beginning of the trouble. The bees are not only aggressive towards other kinds of bees, which creates a huge problem, but they are also very aggressive towards humans. And when these bees sting, their stinger stays with them, so they can sting multiple times. Victims of these swarms receive 10 times as many stings as regular swarms. They react to disturbances 10 times faster, and they will also chase the disturbance a quarter of a mile. Imagine. These bees have actually caused at least 1,000 deaths, so it's safe to say that this is one experiment gone horribly wrong. In our number 9 spot today, we have lions. In the 1980s at the Chatbir Zoo in Chandigarh, India, they started an experimental program where they would breed together a domestic lion, which is a bit smaller and has less of a shaggy mane, with an African lion in the hopes that they could be introduced to the wild and help with the dwindling population of wild lions in India. The zoo found 2 African lions that were being used in a circus and brought them in to breed with their 2 Asiatic lions. When the cubs were born, it was clear that this was already a mistake, as the cubs all had severely weak back legs. They were having extreme trouble walking, and as they got older, their immune systems started to fail. By 2000, they had bred more than 70 of these hybrid lions, and they finally decided to stop the program, and all the males were given vasectomies in order to stop any reproduction. There are laws that prohibit them from killing animals, so they were simply just waiting for them to die naturally. When there's a dwindling population of lions, it's insane to me that they wasted 20 years trying to do this when they could have just simply bred the lions that they did have. In our number 8 spot today, we have the human Z. One of the most contentious and ethically charged endeavors pursued by Ilya Ivanovich Ivanov, an extremely controversial Russian biologist, was his endeavor to produce a hybrid offspring between humans and apes. The goal actually was to create a superhuman soldier for military purposes, and as early as 1910, Ivanov presented his concept of achieving such a feat through the means of artificial insemination during the World Congress of Zoologists in Graz, Austria. In the 1920s, Ivanov embarked on a series of experiments aimed at creating a human-ape hybrid in French Guinea. 3 female chimpanzees were selected as potential surrogate mothers, and the experiment began. However, despite his efforts, Ivanov was unable to achieve a successful pregnancy and bring about the desired hybrid offspring. Thank God. Upon his return to the Soviet Union in 1929, Ivanov sought to organize a new set of experiments involving the use of non-human ape seminal fluid and human volunteers. What human would volunteer for that? I don't know, and I don't want to know. However, these plans were met with setbacks, notably the demise of his last remaining orangutan, which delayed the commencement of the proposed endeavors. Ivanov's pursuit of creating a human-ape hybrid was met with considerable controversy and skepticism. Fair enough. The scientific community was divided, with many dismissing his ideas as unfeasible and scientifically dubious. Nevertheless, his experiments reflect a dark chapter in the history of crossbreeding experiments, highlighting the extreme lengths some scientists were willing to go to in the pursuit of scientific knowledge, even if it meant transgressing the boundaries of ethical conduct. In our number 7 spot today, we have the zonkey. Another one of the strange and unsettling experiments from Ivanov involved the creation of hybrid offspring known as zonkies, or zebrases, by crossing female zebras with donkeys. This experiment aimed to explore the possibilities of interbreeding between closely related species and were conducted during the early 20th century. The goal was to create a hybrid offspring that would exhibit a mix of characteristics from both zebra and donkey parents. These experiments were actually somewhat successful, leading to the birth of several zonkies. The resulting zonkies possessed traits from both species, with physical characteristics resembling a combination of zebras and donkeys. They often displayed striped markings on their bodies, similar to those found on zebras of course, and zonkies typically retained the zebra's body shape as well, while inheriting certain donkey features such as a long ear and tuft tails. It's very cute. While these experiments achieved some success in producing hybrid offspring, they did face ethical concerns and criticism due to the manipulation of animal genetics for experimental purposes. In our number 6 spot today, we have lions, tigers, and ligers. Crossbreeding experiments between lions and tigers have resulted in the creation of hybrid offspring known as ligers and tigons. Ligers are the result of breeding a male lion with a female tiger, while tigons are the offspring of a male tiger and a female lion. However, while these hybrids have been successful in terms of producing viable offspring, they raise significant concerns and have been regarded as ethically problematic. The primary issue with lion-tiger hybrids is related to their health and welfare. Ligers, in particular, often suffer from various health problems. Their large size, resulting from the combination of their parent species, puts a strain on their bodies, leading to skeletal and organ abnormalities. Ligers also have a higher likelihood of experiencing reproductive issues and shortened lifespans compared to their parent species. Additionally, these crossbreeding experiments are typically carried out for entertainment or commercial purposes, aiming to produce exotic and visually striking animals for display. This has raised ethical concerns about the welfare of the animals involved, as such breeding practices often prioritize profit and human fascination over the well-being of the hybrids. Moreover, these hybrid experiments highlight the blurred boundaries between species and the potential negative consequences of manipulating nature for human curiosity and amusement. While ligers and tigons may attract attention due to their very unique appearances, the ethical implications and potential harm to the animals involved have led to widespread criticism of such crossbreeding practices. In our number 5 spot today, we have the farm cattle. In the 1990s, farmers in India were told that if they crossbred their cattle, they'd be able to breed cattle that could produce more milk, which would of course mean more money for them and their families. This should be amazing and great, right? Well, considering why we're all here today, I think we know the answer to that. Different breeds of bulls were brought in and farmers were expecting great things, but they ended up being stuck with cattle that did produce more milk, but also needed way more higher quality food, or else they'd stop producing more milk. And they were also less resistant to the local diseases, so they required more veterinary visits as well. So it's kind of like this situation of, yes, they are producing more milk, which will get us more money, but they also cost us more, and truthfully, most of the times the increased milk production did not outweigh the growing costs. In our number 4 spot today, we have the wolfen. Wish I never had to say the word wolfen, but unfortunately, they do exist. These guys are created when a female common bottlenose dolphin is bred with a male false killer whale. They are extremely rare and have been found in the wild, but unfortunately, most of the ones that have existed were bred in captivity. The first recorded wolfen was born at the Tokyo SeaWorld in 1981, and he very sadly died just 200 days later. Probably a prime example of why maybe they shouldn't really exist in the first place. The first that was born in the United States that actually miraculously survived was at a sea life park in Hawaii in May of 1985, and her name is Kikemalu. She ended up having 3 babies. The first passed away after a few days, the second passed away at the age of 9, but thankfully the third one is still living. The most recent update I could find seems seems to state that at this point, both mother and her daughter are still alive, but unfortunately they remain in captivity. In our number 3 spot today we have the beefalo. Okay. Beefalo sounds kind of cute and silly. It also looks pretty normal, so what could be wrong with this one? Well, let's start at the beginning. A guy named Charles Buffalo Jones started breeding them in 1906 because the bison population in Arizona at the time was exceptionally low. So, bison were bred with domestic cattle in order to produce a hardy commercial animal. He ended up just giving up on this and released the animals, who were then managed by the state, and the numbers remained relatively low because of the limited hunting licenses. Well, when the beefalo found their way into a national park where hunting is banned and there aren't any natural predators, the population began to grow by 50% a year. That's wild. So none of this is necessarily bad, but it's the animal's environmental impact that is the real trouble. First off, they're very thirsty animals and can consume 10 gallons each per trip to a watering hole, so they can obviously clear up a water source pretty quickly. Not to mention the fact that they do their business in the water and how their heavy weight compacts the soil. Basically, they have totally thrown the ecosystem off balance and have pushed out other animals, and the insects and plant life around have also been affected. In our number 2 spot today we have the Pyrenean ibex. The Pyrenean ibex is an animal that went extinct around 2000 in a horrible turn of events. The last one was a female named Celia, and she was killed in an awful falling tree incident. These animals were native to the Pyrenees Mountains on the border of Spain and France. Back in the medieval ages, their population was reduced drastically to an endangered level. This is due to 2 things: being hunted, as well as the spread of human disease. Flash forward to 2003, however, and scientists tried to bring them back to life. This is the first extinct creature that scientists ever tried to clone. That is absolutely crazy, and it actually worked for 7 minutes only. DNA from Celia, the last living individual of the species, was taken and implanted into the womb of a domestic goat. From here, the clone was in fact born, but due to lung complications was unable to survive for longer than 7 minutes. It was a short life, but a monumental one that definitely broke new ground in the scientific world. And finally, in our number 1 spot today we have the human pig experiment. Back in 2017, researchers at the Salk Institute for Biological Studies achieved a significant milestone by producing the first ever human pig chimera, as reported in the journal Cell. The team used cells from an adult human to create stem cells, which were then injected into early-stage pig embryos. These embryos were implanted into female pigs and allowed to develop for several weeks. Approximately 1 in every 100,000 cells in the later stage pig embryos was derived from humans. In this human pig experiment, the researchers encountered trial and error in finding human stem cells that developed in alignment with the pig's embryo's timeline. The ultimate goal of such research is to potentially grow human organs within pigs for transplantation, addressing the shortage of donor organs. While the study raises possibilities for life-saving organ transplants, critics argue that mixing human and animal elements crosses ethical boundaries. The National Institutes of Health in the United States has prohibited federal funding for human chimera research, although there have been indications of potential relaxation under careful monitoring. The research opens up opportunities and ethical questions, but fears of creating half-human, half-animal chimeras are not applicable to the study. The next challenge for the researchers is to improve efficiency and guide the human cells to form specific organs within the pig hosts.
And we're starting off this list with rabbit-human hybrids. Back in 2003, scientists in Shanghai successfully fused human cells with rabbit eggs in a laboratory dish. And the crazy thing was, they survived until they were disposed of and harvested for their stem cells. So it's unclear how long they could have survived and whether the thing would have actually reached past the embryo stage. We could have had a real half-person, half-rabbit monster living amongst us. They'd be about 20 years old now. Not sure why the scientists didn't try this again and actually let the thing live. Maybe it just would have been too freaky. Or maybe they did try it again and there are a whole bunch of rabbit people hiding away somewhere in China just waiting to be unleashed into the world to do God knows what. Imagine how freaky a rabbit person would be though. A mangy, almost hairless rabbit with a human-y kind of face hopping around. Human-y, that's a new word. At our number 9 spot we have have the humanzee. We're gonna chill in China for a little bit longer here. This apparently happened back in 1967. This story is not 100% verified, but according to two scientists in Shenyang, they were able to impregnate a chimpanzee with the seed of a human, which I very much hope done artificially. They were hoping to create a more advanced form of chimpanzee that could hopefully learn to speak, and were even hoping to send it off and do experiments in space. I think the more advanced form of chimpanzee is us. I think that's what we are. But anyway, apparently the chimp did get pregnant, now carrying a human-chimp hybrid in its belly, but the creature was never born as their lab and work was destroyed by revolutionaries, and the chimp died while 3 months into its pregnancy. Not sure about this story. On one hand, this all sounds pretty far-fetched, but on the other, as I said, we do share about 98.8% of our DNA with chimps, so stranger things have happened. Number 8, mice with human livers. So this is an interesting case because I'm actually kind of on board with it. It's a great alternative to testing on chimpanzees. I shall explain. In 2010, researchers at the Salk Institute for Biological Studies in California were able to genetically modify a mouse so that it had an almost human liver. The aim of the game here was to create an animal they could test on for diseases that only humans and chimpanzees get. In the past, we've only been able to test stuff like hepatitis B and C and malaria on chimps, so being able to use mice instead, still not ideal, but it might be the best alternative. Basically, the goal is to infect these genetically modified mice with whatever disease they're testing on, and then attempt to treat them. Could make for pretty big strides in the medical field. At number 7, let's take a step away from actual science for a moment and discuss something a little bit more mysterious. The cryptid known as Owlman. I was considering putting the Mothman at this spot, but we've all heard about the Mothman plenty of times before. The first reported account of this terrifying creature dates back to 1976 in the village of Maunan in Cornwall. 2 young girls had encountered the beast, describing what they saw to be an almost man-sized owl with glowing red eyes. It had been seen hovering above the church tower. Since that fateful day, more and more reports began swooping in about this mysterious owl creature, and till this day we still don't know what this thing is or was. Was it just a hoax, or possibly a really big owl? Probably, but it could have been a human-owl hybrid, which was the result of some horrendous scientific experimentation. You know, that's also a probability. So now we're going to talk about another mouse-related hybrid. This time it's mice with human brains. Yeah, it turns out we actually got pretty close to making Pinky in the Brain a reality, because I think sometimes scientists just go, why not? Let's just do it. Back in 2014, scientists were able to imbue several lab mice with millions of human brain cells. The mice lived, though, after about a year. Almost every cell in their brains had been replaced by human ones. Now, my human brain automatically goes to these mice now performing complex math equations and playing checkers with the scientists, but that's not what happened. Turns out their memory just got way better. The way scientists tested this was by playing a certain noise. Then they'd send a small electric shock through the mice, and the next time they played whatever that noise was, they took note of how the mice reacted, bracing for the incoming electric shock, and they were able to determine that the memory of these mice was 4 times stronger than that of a normal mouse. At number 5, we have human brain cells in monkeys. So Chinese scientists made headlines recently by successfully adding human brain cells to monkeys. This breakthrough involved injecting human stem cells to monkey embryos, leading to the creation of these kind of chimeric embryos, organisms composed of cells from these 2 different species. The goal here was to gain insight into brain development and disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's diseases by studying how the human cells integrated and interacted with the monkey brains. By looking at how the injected human cells behaved and developed in the monkey brains, they hoped to gain more insight into brain functions and diseases that could be otherwise unattainable through traditional means. But it doesn't take a genius to realize that the creation of animals, especially monkeys with human brain cells, is a pretty unnerving idea. If you've ever seen Planet of the Apes, you know how things could turn out here. Next up, we have reptilians. The presence of reptilian humanoids seeping their way into our society has been a relatively well-known conspiracy theory for years. There are some folks that are just 100% convinced that a number of celebrities and politicians and other powerful members of our society are reptilian creatures in disguise. Folks report their eyes changing briefly, showing their true lizard-like pupils below the surface of their nearly flawless human skin suits, or their smooth skin starting to morph into the scaly-like texture that reptiles are so renowned for. And where are these creatures said to come from? Some say outer space, and some say there are cabals of reptilians living in layers deep beneath the surface of the earth, organizing themselves to enact world domination on the inferior species above, which is us. And at number 3, we have cows with human milk. Back in 2011, Chinese scientists were able to genetically produce a herd of 300 cows able to produce milk that was 80% similar to that of human breast milk. It contained nutrients not found in cow milk that are essential to human beings, and they were hoping to mass produce this hybrid cow human milk, getting it on the shelves of every grocery store. Suffice to say, it never really took off. Now, I don't know how this was accomplished. I am not a scientist, surprisingly, but I do know that this is something I would never drink. This isn't the only case of cows being modified with human genes to make their milk more closer to ours. This same process was also used on goats in Argentina, and this type of milk has been tested on pigs, and apparently they were fine, but I don't know about you. I just get a little pukey at the idea of chugging down milk, even just normal milk, by the way, but genetically modified milk from a lab cow, I'll pass on that one, thank you. And like I said, I'd pass on standard milk too. I just don't think we're supposed to really be consuming the stuff in high quantities like past infancy. But I don't know, there's a lot of debates about that. Number 2, the Loveland frog. Oh boy, do I love the Loveland frog. Yes, we're back into cryptid territory here. I can't help it. This weird and wacky creature is one of the most famous cryptids in the fine state of Ohio. This is not just one cryptid though. It's a group of 3 to 4 foot tall humanoid frog creatures. Now, the legend started gaining steam back in 1955 when a local man claimed to have seen not 1, not 2, but 3 of these froggish beings just hanging out under a bridge. He described them as being hairless, with large mouths, with no lips, and with a greenish tint to their skin. They also had a wand-like device that emitted a strange smell of almonds. In 1972, a police officer also claimed to have seen a large frog creature, saying he actually shot at one of them as it leapt across the road. So, did someone slip something into that man's drink in 1955? Was he just making it up? Did the cop in 1972 just fire at a very large lizard? Very possible. Or scientists were doing some nefarious frog experiments over there in Ohio. And knowing what I've learned about Ohio over my time spent doing this job, that would not surprise me in the slightest. Coming in at number 1 though, we have pigs with human organs. So this is something that's being continually researched. And it's actually pretty interesting and potentially very useful because the purpose of this is to create farm animals that can be harvested for important organs like human hearts and lungs, which could be life-saving for people needing replacements. Not sure if I'd want my new heart coming from a mutated pig monster, but I guess the chips are down. You gotta take what you can get. Japanese scientist Hiromatsu Nakuichi is one of the leading scientists on this project and is operating in the United States to help bring it to reality. They've been able to create hundreds of pig-human embryos, but none of them with the amount of human DNA necessary to accomplish their goals. But their research continues, and I'm confident that one day we'll be able to visit a disgusting pig person farm with fresh new organs we can choose from in order to keep ourselves alive for as long as we want. That's the future that I want. And we're starting off the list with Dulce Base. Some whistleblowers have claimed that Dulce Base, a supposed underground facility in New Mexico, is involved in genetic experiments, including the creation of human-alien hybrids. The origin of the Dulce Base conspiracy theory began back in the 80s when UFO researcher Paul Benowitz claimed he had intercepted electronic communications between alien beings and the US government. Benowitz's reports included mention of this base, one of of the most prominent claims associated with Dulce Base involves the creation of human-alien hybrids. Some conspiracy theorists suggest that extraterrestrial beings collaborate with the government at Dulce Base to conduct genetic experiments, resulting in the development of hybrids that possess a combo of human and alien traits. These hybrids are often portrayed as part of a secret agenda aimed at enhancing human capabilities and serving other unknown purposes. Next up, we have the Young-Hae Chi theory. Dr. Young-Hae Chi, an instructor in Korean at Oxford's Oriental Institute, made some interesting statements a few years back. Alien abductions have been reported for years. It's always been a mystery as to why they occur. Are they experimenting on us, implanting us with unknown alien devices? Well, according to this instructor, these supposed abductions aren't malicious in nature. They have more to do with alien beings attempting to overcome climate change. In a 2012 lecture, Dr. Chi discussed how a highly advanced alien species had already made contact with the people of Earth, interbreeding with us after these abductions, attempting to form a race of hybrids to colonize the planet. He talked about how the rise in alien abductions seemed to coincide with major problems arising on Earth, like the invention of nuclear weapons and the increasing changes in climate, and that the aliens' belief is that a more intelligent hybrid species would fare better at protecting the planet. He went on to talk about it being a human's job to not only protect the planet for our own good, but to prove the aliens wrong in their assumption of superiority. At our number 8 spot, we have the friendship case. The friendship case refers to a series of alleged contact experiences between humans and extraterrestrial beings that occurred in Italy between the 1950s and 60s. The encounters were reported by a group of individuals who had been contacted by a highly advanced alien species who claimed to have established peaceful and cooperative relationships with them. The story goes that a number of face-to-face meetings and telepathic communications happened between the contactees and the aliens. These encounters reportedly took place in rural areas away from the public eye, and the humans were shown alien bases on Earth, as well as other highly advanced scientific and spiritual knowledge being shared with them. According to the contactees, these alien beings were all about the importance of peace and unity and ecological balance. The friendship case gained attention in the UFO community because of the detailed accounts and the consistency of these accounts amongst multiple witnesses. Some folks have speculated that during these peaceful interactions, some of these folks may have gotten a little handsy with their new space friends, resulting in some alien-human hybrids. Number 7, the Antonio Villas-Boas abduction. In 1957, a Brazilian farmer by the name of Antonio Villas-Boas reported one of the strangest alien abduction stories in UFO history. He claimed that on the night of October 15th, he was working in his family's fields when he saw this bright red star-like object in the sky. This object, according to Villas-Boas, descended and eventually landed, revealing itself to be a strange egg-shaped craft. From the craft emerged humanoid creatures wearing gray overalls and helmets. These beings abducted him, taking him aboard their craft. He described the aliens as around 5 feet tall, with small blue eyes and white hair. He claimed that they took samples of his blood, conducted medical examinations, and then led him into a room where he was introduced to a naked humanoid female. Oh boy. By the sounds of his description, they sound like attractive aliens too. Round, small, beady eyes, white hair. I mean, come on. According to Antonio, though, this one actually was pretty attractive, and apparently they proceeded to have a bizarre encounter. Afterwards, he was released, and the craft ascended back into the sky, leaving him alone and confused in the field. They didn't even buy him a drink. He later reported the incident to his family, who would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that awkward conversation. I would not tell my family about that. That is something I would maybe tell a couple friends about, but not my mom and dad. Eventually, the story reached the Brazilian military and local authorities, and his account drew a lot of attention from the media and UFO researchers. There are some terrifying alien abduction stories. Take Travis Walton's, for example, where he was experimented on his crazy ways. Gotta say, though, as creepy as this would have been, not the worst thing that could happen. At least, I don't know, at least for me, alright? I don't know. It's not every day you get to, anyway. let's move on. Next on the list we have the Dr. David M. Jacobs theory. Jacobs taught history at Temple University. He also spent 35 years interviewing people who claimed to have been abducted by extraterrestrials. First, he was a complete skeptic, but the more people he interviewed, the more he started to notice just how similar these accounts were, despite coming from people who had seemingly no contact with one another. What he came to believe is that according to him, these abductions are being carried out by extraterrestrials in order to create human-alien hybrids, in order to colonize the planet, and that they're amongst us as we speak. Now, this is pretty outlandish. I haven't talked to as many people as this guy has about their first-hand alien abduction stories, though, so who really knows? But from where I stand, this is pretty hard to believe. What do you all think, though? Let us know in the comments. And at number 5, we have another David story, David Huggins. Huggins is an artist with most of his work depicting extraterrestrial beings. For him, these aren't pieces of fantastical work, though. They are depictions of his first-hand accounts with alien abductions, which he claims to have had a lot of. His odd experiences with aliens began when he was just 8 years old, and it persisted as he grew up. Perhaps his strangest story is how he met an alien named Crescent, who, according to him, was actually a hybrid. And the story goes that Huggins did a lot more than hugging with this strange entity. Yes, his first time was with a human-alien hybrid. He also claims to have had over 50 children with her, who visited him along with Crescent. They're also accompanied by several of your classic gray aliens and insectoid-type beings who are their leaders. All sounds pretty legit to me. Honestly, whether any of this is true or not, whether it's just a big hoax he's concocted for fun, or if he actually believes what he says, he seems to be living his best life, making some pretty cool art out of it as well, so I'm into it. Check some of the paintings out. They're kind of creepy, but I don't know, interesting. Next on the list we have Simon Parkes. Simon Parkes is a British politician and self-proclaimed alien abductee who has gained attention for his interesting claims about his experiences with extraterrestrial beings. He claims to have been contacted by a 9-foot-tall green alien who claimed to be his true mother when he was a baby. According to Parkes, his mother, who he refers to as the Green Lady, is a mantid extraterrestrial, a type of alien that supposedly resembles a praying mantis. Parkes claims that his encounters with extraterrestrial beings began in his childhood. He says that these experiences continued into adulthood, including interactions with the Green Lady, aka his mom. He describes his relationship with his alien mother as complex, involving telepathic communication and a sense of connection that goes beyond human understanding. Parkes has shared his experiences in interviews, radio shows, and conferences with the UFO and conspiracy theory communities, but he was also quoted saying, "For many people who don't experience it, it's very hard to accept. We are taught to only see and believe what we can touch, but it's acceptable to believe in religion. It's a personal matter and it doesn't affect my work. I'm more interested in fixing someone's leaking roof or potholes. People don't want me to talk about aliens." Number 3, Linda Moulton Howe. Linda Moulton Howe is a prominent American investigative journalist, author, and ufologist known for her research on unidentified flying objects and alleged extraterrestrial encounters. She's conducted a ton of interviews with people who claim to be alien abductees or had contact with alien beings, including human-alien hybrids. Throughout her career, Howe has explored various abduction stories where individuals have reported encounters with human-alien hybrids. She's gathered testimonies, investigated the narratives of these alleged abductees. Her interviews often include detailed descriptions of these hybrid beings, accounts of genetic experiments, encounters with advanced technologies. These accounts typically involve claims of reproductive experiments, where abductees report being subjected to procedures that imply the creation of human-alien hybrid offspring. Next on the list we have the strange case of Jeffrey Alan Lash. Jeffrey Alan Lash was a mysterious guy who gained attention in 2015 after his death in Los Angeles, California. Lash was found dead in his car, and authorities discovered a whackload of weapons, ammunition, and cash in his home. What made this case even stranger, though, was the claim made by his fiancée, Catherine Nebron, that Lash was a human human-alien hybrid. According to Nebron, Lash had told her that he was a hybrid with extraterrestrial origins, part human and part alien. He claimed that he was sent to Earth on a mission and possessed special powers as a result of this hybrid nature. Nebron believed Lash's story and thought he was a secret government agent involved in covert operations. She also claimed that Lash had instructed her not to contact authorities after his death because it would jeopardize their mission. Nebron's story about Lash being a human-alien hybrid definitely got some media attention, and the case became discussed in the UFO and conspiracy theory realm. Lash's background and the sources of his wealth are also still bit murky. Finally, we have the Betty and Barney Hill abduction. In September of 1961, Betty and Barney Hill, an American couple, claimed to have been abducted by extraterrestrial beings in rural New Hampshire. According to their account, while driving late at night, they observed a bright light in the sky that seemed to follow their car. The light eventually descended, and Barney stopped the car to get a closer look. He reported seeing humanoid figures inside a craft. Panicked, the Hills fled the scene, but later realized they had lost a significant amount of time. Over time and through hypnosis, the couple began to recall fragments of their experience. They described being taken aboard a UFO where they were subjected to medical examinations. The beings they encountered were described as short, with gray skin, large eyes, and slits for mouths, your classic grays. Regarding the theory of hybrid experiments, some ufologists have speculated that the Hills abduction might have involved reproductive experiments. This theory also suggests that the aliens might have conducted genetic hybridization experiments on the couple, resulting in the possible creation of human-alien hybrids. Anyway, this case became one of the first widely publicized alien abduction stories in the United States, and it's definitely one of the biggest and well-known ones. Human-pig hybrids, chickens with dinosaur legs and plant cells injected into animals. These are terrifying hybrid creatures scientists created in labs. Glowfish are probably one of the most famous examples of genetically modified pets. These little fish, which are actually zebrafish, were engineered in 1999 to glow in the dark. The trick? Scientists inserted a jellyfish gene into the zebrafish, causing them to produce a fluorescent protein that makes them glow under ultraviolet light. The idea behind the glowing fish was actually pretty practical at first. The researchers wanted to use them as a way to detect water pollution. If the water was contaminated, the fish would change color. But as often happens with things that are cool and unusual, people started getting more interested in these things as potential pets. And by 2003, glowfish were available for sale in the United States, and they quickly became a novelty item. But their release raised some ethical questions. Some people thought it was just fun, but others were uncomfortable with the fact that these were pets that were cooked up in a lab. Plus, there were worries about what might happen if these fish were released into the wild, where they could potentially disrupt ecosystems. Glowfish are legal to sell in many places, but they are banned or restricted in others. At the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota, scientists injected human stem cells into pig fetuses. What they ended up creating was something that could be described as the first pigman, or a pig with human traits. The goal of the experiment was to study how human and pig cells would interact when fused together, because why not, I guess. What they discovered was pretty wild. Some cells kept their separation, so in the pig's body, there were areas with just human cells and others with just pig cells. But other times, the cells actually fused together and formed a brand new type of DNA that no one had ever seen before. So on the outside, it was a regular pig, but on the inside, it was something much more complicated. An animal with half human, half pig cells throughout its body. The most interesting part was the BLOOD, which was a hybrid of human and pig, and this was a completely new type of BLOOD that had never existed before. Scientists were able to confirm that this was the first time such an experiment had ever been done. Now, this one's pretty mind-blowing. For a long time, scientists have been piecing together how dinosaurs evolved into modern birds, and in 2016, a team of researchers in Chile set out to watch this evolution in real time by experimenting with chicken embryos. Their goal was to look at how the leg bones of birds have changed over time and how they connect to their dinosaur ancestors. Dinosaurs, like the ones we see in fossils, had two long bones in their lower legs, the fibula and tibia, which ran parallel to one another. Over millions of years, those bones evolved. When it came to modern birds, the fibula became much shorter and developed a splinter-like end, while the tibia became the dominant bone in the leg. Now the researchers wanted to see if they could make chicken embryos grow that older dinosaur-like leg. So they took a gene that plays a role in this leg development, the IHH gene, and suppressed it in the embryos. And the chicken embryos developed leg bones that looked a lot more like dinosaur legs, with both bones being of similar length and reaching down to the ankle. These dino chickens didn't survive long enough to hatch, but this was the first time scientists could directly observe how bird legs evolved from dinosaur legs in living creatures. Before this experiment, it was just all speculation from fossils. Back in 2018, researchers produced sheep-human embryos. They wanted to see if they could grow organs inside these engineered animals. The end goal is to have body parts that could one day be used for organ donations. Scientists introduced human stem cells into sheep embryos, and while the embryos were mostly sheep, a small fraction, less than 1%, contained human cells. Stem cell biologist Hiro Nakauchi from Stanford University said, "The contribution of human cells so far is very small. It's nothing like a pig with a human face or human brain." And yeah, it was not that, fortunately. Yeah, not a huge percentage here, but the fact that they were able to create sheep embryos with even a small fraction of human DNA is pretty wild. The sheep embryos were destroyed after 28 days, so no sheep-human hybrids were actually born, but the experiment showed that creating organs inside animals with human DNA could be a possible solution to the growing need for organ donors. Oh, Florida, the state has enough wild stuff to worry about than, super snakes, but hybrid pythons are a real problem in Florida. These snakes are massive. Some could grow up to 23 feet long and weigh nearly 200 pounds. Originally, a lot of these snakes were exotic pets, but over time, a lot of them were released into the wild. And by the late 80s, the Burmese pythons had grown into a pretty sizable population in Florida and became a massive problem for the ecosystem. But even worse, researchers studying the pythons in 2018 found something pretty unsettling. Out of 426 snakes they sampled, 13 were hybrids. These hybrids were a mix of Burmese pythons and another species, the Indian python, which had also been released by pet owners. The two species hadn't just recently mixed, they'd been interbreeding for a long time before researchers discovered them. The Indian python is smaller but quicker than the Burmese python, and this combination makes them tougher and more adaptable. In 2009, researchers in Russia and Belarus created genetically modified goats that could produce human breast milk. It wasn't exactly pure human milk, but it was close. It contained 60% of the proteins that make up human milk. Not long after, a team in China took things even further and created a whole herd of 300 cows that could also produce human milk. The idea was to be able to harvest human milk on a large scale, mass produce it, and then sell it in stores. I mean, they figured people would not only want to buy human milk, but human milk that came out of a genetically modified farm animal. The Chinese team originally planned to have their milk in stores by 2014, but the idea didn't exactly catch on as they'd hoped, and the plan got delayed. Back in 1996, a group of scientists at Harvard, led by Joseph and Charles Vacanti, created what became known as the Vacanti mouse. This mouse had a human-shaped ear growing right on its back. Now, this wasn't some weird mutation, it was a planned experiment. They took cow cartilage cells, placed them into a mold shaped like an ear, and then implanted it under the mouse's skin. The ear-shaped mold helped guide the cartilage into the desired shape, and as time passed, the cartilage naturally grew into that shape. The goal was to see if they could create artificial ears on mice and then graft them onto humans. The mouse used was what's called a nude mouse, an immunocompromised species that doesn't reject foreign tissue, so it was perfect for this kind of work. In an interview with Newsweek, Joseph Vacanti joked the mouse had the ear removed and then lived out a happy, normal life, which wasn't true. Lab animals are typically euthanized after experiments, and the original paper mentioned the mice after sacrifice, a term used to describe when animals are killed post-experiment. Ilya Ivanov was a Soviet biologist in the early 20th century who became infamous for his attempt to create a human-ape hybrid. Back in 1910, Ivanov gave a talk about the possibility of creating a human-ape hybrid by using artificial insemination. Then, in the 1920s, he took his theories to French Guiana, where he carried out a series of experiments. He tried inseminating female chicks chimpanzees with human genetic material, but this was unsuccessful. After that, he went back to the Soviet Union and started trying to organize similar experiments, only this time he'd flipped them around, injecting ape genetic material into human volunteers. These plans were thankfully interrupted when the last of his orangutans died. Ivanov's work wasn't just controversial, it was downright disturbing to many, and it led to his eventual arrest and exile. Just this year, scientists at the University of Tokyo managed to combine chloroplasts, which are green energy-producing cells found in plants, with animal cells. The idea here was to give animal cells the ability to create energy from sunlight, a process called photosynthesis, just like plants do. For years, scientists had tried to mix chloroplasts with animal cells, but the animal cells would just digest the chloroplasts within a few hours. That was until the Tokyo team used a specific type of algae called this thing here. But this specific algae could stay active in animal cells. They inserted these chloroplasts into Chinese hamster cells, and to their surprise, the chloroplasts didn't just survive, they kept performing photosynthesis for up to 2 days. The hamster cells even grew faster than usual. It looked like the chloroplasts were giving them some extra energy. Researchers still aren't sure exactly how the chloroplasts and the hamster's mitochondria interact, but they're working on it. And these plantable cells could possibly help us find new ways to create tissues or even new forms of energy. In 2019, reports came out about a team of researchers from the Salk Institute in the United States who'd successfully created the first human-monkey chimera. Led by Professor Juan Carlos Psua Belmont, the team had already produced embryos with small amounts of human cells in pigs and sheep, but this time they went a step further, working with monkeys. The idea was similar to their previous work, to create chimeras that might one day be used to grow human organs that could be used for life-saving transplants. These human-monkey chimeras were reportedly only allowed to develop for a few weeks though. The process was carefully monitored and stopped before any of the embryos developed a nervous system or organs, which could raise more serious ethical concerns. These chimeras were also created in China to avoid legal restrictions in other countries. The difference in evolutionary distance between humans and monkeys is much wider than between humans and chimpanzees, but it still opens up the possibility of growing organs for transplants. The chances are slim though that human-monkey hybrids could be brought to full term because of the vast amounts of genetic differences between the species.
Number 10, a wolfin. A wolfin is part whale, part dolphin. The existence of wolfins have been a legend for centuries. Known in fisherman lore as the Great Gray Beast, they come from the mating of a female bottlenose dolphin with a male false killer whale. Now, a false killer whale, by the way, is not actually a whale. Both these animals come from the oceanic dolphin family with the toothed whale suborder. Wolfins are one of the rarest hybrid animals. Citizen wolfin sightings in the wild are common, but concrete evidence still eludes scientists. Currently, we can only reliably see these animal hybrids in captivity. Wolfins are an extremely interesting balance of their parents as well. Their skin is a dark gray, the perfect blend of light gray dolphin skin and black false killer whale skin. They also have 66 teeth, which is the precise average of a dolphin's 88 teeth and the false killer whale's 44 teeth. To me, these look weird and they kind of make me uncomfortable. Number 9. Wolf dog. A wolf dog, also called a wolf dog hybrid or wolf hybrid, is a candid hybrid resulting from the mating of a wolf and a dog. The term wolf dog is preferred by most of the animal's proponents and breeders because the domestic dog recently was taxonomically recategorized as a subspecies of wolf. The American Veterinary Medical Association and the United States Department of Agriculture refers to the animals as wolf dog hybrids. Rescue organizations consider any dog with wolf heritage within the last 5 generations to be a wolf dog, including some established wolf dog breeds. In 1998, USDA estimated an approximate population of 300,000 wolf dogs in the United States, the highest of any country worldwide, with some other sources giving a population possibly as high as 500,000. In the first generation of hybrids, gray wolves are most often crossed with wolf-like dogs such as German Shepherds, Siberian Huskies, and Alaskan Mammutes for an appearance most appealing to owners desiring to own an exotic pet. Because wolf dogs are generic mixtures between wolves and dogs, their physical and behavior characteristics cannot be predicted with any certainty. Number 8.
Zebroid. A hybrid between a zebra and any other member of the equine family is one of the most common in the animal kingdom. In most cases, the sire is a zebra stallion, the mother could be anyone. Known collectively as zebroid, the name of the breed depends on who the mother is. A fowl could be a zorse, zebrel, zonkey, zebunky, or a zoni. Zebra hybrids usually have the appearance of whichever animal they have been crossbred with, while still retaining the striped coat of a pure zebra. Now, most of these animals don't have fully striped coats. Instead, the stripes are usually found on just the legs or non-white areas of the body, depending on the genetics of the non-zebra parent. When it comes to zonkies, donkeys are closely related to zebras, and both animals belong to the horse family. These zebra-donkey hybrids are very rare. In South Africa, they occur where zebras and donkeys are found in proximity to each other. Today, various zebroids are bred as riding and draft animals and as curiosities in circuses and smaller zoos. Number 7. Growler bear. Known variously as a pizzly bear, a growler bear is a grizzly and polar bear hybrid that is a rare hybrid within the Ursidae family. Tales of such creatures were told within the First Nation communities of North America down the centuries. But it wasn't until DNA samples were taken from a strange looking bear found near Sash Harbor in the Canadian Arctic in 2006 that their existence was finally confirmed. Growler bears are interesting because, generally speaking, polar bears and grizzlies have a mutual contempt for one another and will rarely coexist in captivity or in their natural habitats. However, extreme situations and human interventions have produced more of these adorably shaggy caramel-colored hybrid bears. They typically grow to be slightly smaller than polar bears, averaging 60 inches tall at the shoulder and around 1,000 pounds, but they're better to be able to survive in warm climates thanks to their grizzly bear genes. Number 6. Jag lion. A jag lion, sometimes referred to as a jaguan, is one of the many portmanteaus used to define hybrid species of animals. In this case, it is a blend of two cats, a lion, and a jaguar. Both belong to the genus Panthera. Their genetics aren't too far off. It's not surprising that they're able to mate, but they are extremely rare. A jag lion is the offspring of a female lion, lioness, and a male jaguar. To date, there haven't been any matings of a male lion and a female jaguar, so that hybrid doesn't have its own special name. Now, spots are definitely a dominant gene, and any speckled big cat is sure to pass them on to their offspring. And like its mother, the jag lion cub has a distinct tuft of hair at the end of its tail. It wasn't until the 21st century that this crossbreed became known to the world. Before this century, there hadn't been any record of such a cross being made, despite experiments in crossbreeding lions, leopards, and tigers. They are rare. And how rare is extremely rare? Well, right now there are only 2 jag lions in the world. They live in Canada and they were bred unintentionally and are in captivity. There has been no written record of any other crossbreeding between lions and jaguars. Number 5. The Iron Age pig. The Iron Age pig is a hybrid between a wild boar and a domestic Tamworth pig meant to recreate the type of pig represented by prehistoric works of the Iron Age in ancient Europe. A project to create them under the name Iron Age pig started in the early 1980s. In many areas, a variable of mixtures of these hybrids and feral pigs of all domesticated original stock have become invasive species. Their status as pest animals has reached crisis proportions in Australia, parts of Brazil, and parts of the United States, and the animals are often freely hunted in hopes of eradicating them or at least reducing them to a controllable population. When bred intentionally, the hybrids are intended to visually recreate the backbreed look of pigs represented in the prehistoric artworks of the Iron Age and in early ancient Egypt. Now, generally, they are only raised in Europe for a specialty meat market, and in keeping with their heritage, are generally more aggressive and harder to handle than pure domestic pigs. Number 4. Beefalo. Beefalo constitute a hybrid offspring of domestic cattle, usually a male in managed breeding programs, and the American bison, usually a female in managed breeding programs. Accidental crosses were noticed as long ago as 1749 in the southern states of North America during British colonization. Cattle and bison were first intentionally crossbred during the mid-19th century. In 1983, the 3 main beefalo registration groups reorganized under the American Beefalo World Registry. Until November 2008, there were 2 beefalo associations, the American Beefalo World Registry and American Beefalo International. These organizations joined to form American Beefalo Association Incorporated Incorporated, which currently operates as the registering body for beefalo in the United States. Now, the breed was created to combine the characteristics of both animals for beef production. A recent USDA study showed beefalo meat, like bison meat, actually tended to be lower in fat and cholesterol. They are also thought to produce less damage to the rangeland than cattle. Personally, I just think saying beefalo is fun. You should try it. Number 3. Green sea slug. Possibly the most unusual hybrid animal on this list is the green sea slug. It's a sea slug that incorporates genetic material from the algae it eats into its own DNA. So it's part sea slug, part algae. The strange result is a plant-animal hybrid that can consume food like an animal or create its own nutrients via photosynthesis. Scientists call these sea slugs emerald green alcia. Their ability to turn solar energy into food is what gives them their brilliant green hue. Scientists acknowledge that they'll have to do more research in order to determine how this phenomenon happens, but as of now, this is their only successful instance of gene transfer from one type of complex organism to another. This creature can be found along the east coast of the United States, including the states of Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Rhode Island, Florida, and Texas. They can also be found as far north as Nova Scotia, Canada, and are most commonly found in salt marshes, tidal marshes, pools, and shallow creeks. Number 2. Hybrid crocodile. The only known hybrid crocodile in the world is named Yai. Yai's parents are a saltwater crocodile and a Siamese crocodile. The crossbreeding happened only because its parents were kept together in a zoo. It wouldn't have occurred in the wild as these two types of crocodiles have different habitats. Yai is huge. And in the year 2000, Guinness World Records said he was the world's largest crocodile held in captivity at 19 feet and 8 inches, which is as tall as a giraffe. He also weighed 2,645 pounds, which is almost the amount of 2 cows. Since then, Yai has grown even more and is now 21 feet long. He's located at the Samtapakran Crocodile Farm and Zoo in Thailand. I hope I said that right. All I gotta say is I'm glad he's in captivity. I can't imagine how I would react if I saw him out in the wild. And coming in at number 1, the super cow. The super cow, also known as a Belgian blue cow, is a breed of beef cattle from Belgium. The Belgium's blue's extremely lean, hyper-sculpted, ultra-muscular physique is termed double muscling. The double muscling phenotype is a heritable condition resulting in an increased number of muscle fibers instead of the normal enlargement of individual muscle fibers. This particular trait is shared with another breed of cattle known as Piedmontese. Both of these breeds have an increased ability to convert feed into lean muscle, which causes these particular breeds' meat to have a reduced fat content and reduced tenderness. The Belgian blue is named after its typically blue-gray mottled hair, however, its actual color can vary from white to black. The Belgian blue has been exported to many parts of the world. It is reported by DATIS by 24 countries in Africa, the Americas, Europe, and Oceania. Of these, 10 report population data. In 2022, the world population was estimated to be around 107,875. Now, double-muscled cows routinely experience dystocia difficulty in parturition, even when bred to normal beef bulls or dairy bulls because of a narrower birth canal. The birth weight and width of the calf also may be higher than in animals without the double muscling gene. People also think it's unfair to breed these animals because of their difficulty walking due to the muscles and how big they are. These cows are absolutely jacked, and I would not want to run into one of them or get in a fight with it. Well, that's all for our list of the top 10 terrifying animal hybrids that should never exist. Some of these are definitely creepy, and I would not want to run into any of them. If you could create an animal hybrid, what would you create? Comment down below, and while you're down there, make sure to like and subscribe. I think a spake, aka a spider snake, would be absolutely terrifying, and I hope they never exist.